Anin Mudgal sir, the vice principal, and our respected teachers and my dear friends. Today, I, Prachi from class 10th Orange, on behalf of Swastik House, is here to speak on favor on the topic New Education Policy 2020. The new education policy has had a revolutionary effect on the student's life. After 34 years of following the same education pattern without any change, the Ministry of India has made significant changes to it on 29th of July 2020. Then our government has just adopted this education policy in 2023. It's no secret that it is going to have impact the students life in a big way, but what exactly does that mean for them? Well, for one, the new education policy, the students will not be able to coast out of the school just by memorizing facts and figures. Instead, they'll need to apply what they have learned in their life to get ready for the daily challenges. The new education policy makes the betterment of the students, and the betterment of the students will make the India better. The better of the students, it is a big change, and it will take some time for the students and the educators to adopt the new education policy. But in the long run, the new education policy is going to result in the better educated students who are prepared for the real challenges of the real life. There will be some difficulties, and there are some changes for the teaching life as well. First and foremost, the policy shifts from the teacher centered instructions to the student centered instructions. This means that the teachers will not just say the facts and figures, but they'll need to facilitate learning. In order to facilitate learning, the teachers will need to develop new skills and new learnings. They will need to make ready students. They will need to educate students, and they will. That is why our government has made compulsory a 4-year education system for the teachers as well, so that they can offer a welcoming and safe environment for the students of the schools, and they will need to meet the needs of every individual student. Do you think that all this is wrong? I would like to ask my opponent that all this is wrong. They still think that the new education system is not in the favor of the education. If they'd like to say that the new education system is taken from the foreign countries, so I'd like to say that our constitution is made up from the some ideas from the foreign countries as well. Let's take an example of a student moving from one region to another region. If they do not know how to speak in English, how would be they able to understand what the other regions teachers are saying? That is why the government has made compulsory the English language and made the English language our second language, so that the students will be able to communicate with the Britishers as well. Let's take another example. The Britishers have ruled on India for over 200 years. If the Indians would have known English, they would have been able to understand their strategies, and the Britishers would not have been able to rule on India for 200 years. But at that time, Hindi was our main language, so the people of India spoke Hindi as well. So they were not able to understand what the Britishers were saying. Now as well, if the Indians know English properly, there'd be no such occasion where the other countries would be able to rule on us for even an year or so. The main focus of the policy is to provide a holistic education that makes the students is comfortable in learning and makes them participate in every academic competition. However, the right preparation and support, you can make the most of the new education policy. Thank you.
All present here. I am Aditya from Swastik House in front of you to speak against National Education Policy 2020. My first point is about mm, teaching in mother tongue. So if we have to teach the students in their own mother tongue, so this will be a hard challenge for the teachers because there are 27 scheduled languages in India. And in many schools in the same class, there are students of different mother tongues. Like you can take example of our own school. There are students of three mother tongues: Haryanvi, Rajasthani, and Hindi. So the teachers have to separate them all and found another teacher for them to teach them in their own mother tongue language. And this will ultimately lead to the increase of fees, and increase of fees will lead to the less afford of middle class families, and this will ultimately lead to the decrease in literacy rate. My second point is introduction of English after 5th standard in government schools. As my classmate Prachi said that English is very important for India, but she said that English is very important, but in the new education policy, the English is introduced after class 5th in government schools. And my third point is the according to new education policy, the student who is willing to complete his graduation has to educate him for 4 years, where a student with diploma degree can easily do in 2 years. Thank you and have a nice day.
Very, very warm and pleasant good morning to one and all present here. Today, I Priya is front of you in presenting the Spinel House. Education is essential to change for what education makes the wants and the ability to satisfy them. So, with this quote, I am representing my point of view on applying the new education policy. As new education policy 2020 has been introduced to apply some monumental changes. Firstly, there are some aims and objectives of education policies are as follows: increase expenditure on education as in this year from last 2 3 years, like there is only GDP share is 2.9% stagnant to revealed study revealed of 2016, and this is like value at this GDP we have it is increased to 8.3%, like which is nothing for applying new education policy. Secondly, there is aim for reduced stress exam. The new education policy aims to the new education policy aims to change it to from ratification to one that is more competency based, one that is more regular and informative based, one that tests high order skills and that is analysis, critical thinking, and many things more than ratification. Some new changes of board exams are there are subjects chosen on interest level. There are two examination, one main and another for improvement. There are new formats of exams are redesigned, such as first for descriptive type and second for MCQ. Thirdly, thirdly there is Thirdly, there is universalization of education. Universalization of education means free and necessary education provided to age group 16 to 14. This is the matter of concern for not just now but before the pre-independence era. Some of the main objectives of the universalization of education are facilitates equality, fosters national development, and much more. Fourthly, new coding system are invented. This is for because the new pandemic system, like for future pandemic, which will there are so many advanced teaching in online format. So at last, I want to say some changes are necessary. If we don't get change with time, we live get behind. So some changes are necessary, and there are demerits also, but there are more merits in number also. Thank you and have a nice day.
Beautiful morning to one and every soul present here. I am Riddhi, standing in front of you to present my views against the topic implementation of new education policy 2020. The content of this debate is purely my own opinions and you may or may not agree with it. Every policy has its own merits and demerits. Here I am discussing the demerits of this new education policy 2020. Firstly, NEP 2020 says that The implementation of mother language will be mandatory in primary schools. From my opinion, it is a bad idea because there are different students in there are different students studying in the same class, and it would be very difficult for teachers to make everyone understand in their particular mother languages. There are over 22 there are 22 official languages in India and other unofficial languages, which which will be very difficult to recruit teachers on the basis of this. Secondly, it is also emphasized in the new education policy 2020 that the introduction of English in private school will be much earlier than that of government schools. Already there is very much wider gap between the schools of private and government bodies, and it will widen it. Thirdly, I want to say that thirdly I want to say that how will they recruit teachers on different basis? Thank you.
Teachers and all my dear friends. Today I, Apita, behalf of Swapnil House, is here to represent my views in the favor of new education policy. The new education policy in India will bring about significant benefits to Indian education system and society. The Indian government has recently implemented the new education policy aimed at having the many beneficial changes in education system. The policy has several critical features that are very beneficial and benefits the new Indian education system. So the first is that holistic education. The one of the primary feature of the new education policy that it provides the holistic education with Samagra Shiksha. This education system focus on students with a wide range of skills and knowledge, including critical thinking, for problem solving and communication skills. The holistic education approach aims to equip students with their skills they need to become well-rounded individuals who can contribute positively to the society. Furthermore, the new education policy promotes interdisciplinary learning, allowing students to explore various fields and subjects according to their interest. This holistic approach to education will enable students to develop an open-minded and creative outlook, which will undoubtedly more beneficial for their future and for the future of India. The second thing is multilingualism. Another significant feature of the new education policy that it promotes multilingualism. The policy emphasizes the importance of learning multiple languages as it believes that it will be help to create a more connected and inclusive society. Multilingualism has several benefits, including connective benefits such as improving memory, problem solving skills, and also promotes cross cultural understanding and knowledge. Moreover, multilingualism is beneficial for students' career prospects, particularly in increasable globalized world. The third thing is that it promotes flexibility in higher educations. The new education policy also focus on increasing flexibility in higher educations as the students have the choice to choose their field stream what they want. And the new education policy also allows the university to offer more diverse and interdisciplinary programs promoting academic excellence and innovations. Moreover, the policy also promotes integration of vocational and academic education system to creating a more skilled workforce. This integration will undoubtedly be beneficial for students' career prospect as it will be enable them to gain practical experience and develop the necessary skills for employment. In the conclusion, the new education policies in India is a step in the right direction. The full policy focus on holistic education, flexibility in higher education, and multilingualism also. These features are expected to bring about significant benefits to the Indian education system. So, therefore, it is imperative that we support and implement new education policy, ensuring a bright future for India. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning, respected judges, teachers, my worthy opponents, and all my dear friends. I am Ritika, behalf of Swapnil House, hereby standing against the New Education Policy 2020. Indian government laws new education policy to change the education system. Even it has benefits, but it does not mean that it is a good form of education. It has so many drawbacks. First of all, I would talk about the vocational courses. This policy emphasizes introduction to the vocational courses from 6th grade, which means students are forced to choose their career at an early age and limit their potentials. This NEP also shifts the traditional classes into online learning, which means, as we all know, that large number of students in India do not access the digital devices. That's why they will be left behind the new education system. So we cannot say that it is a good form of education because it widens the gap between the privileged and unprivileged students. The third main disadvantage of this policy is teaching in the mother tongue. Teaching the fundamental subject in mother tongue is a hassle as India has 22 scheduled languages and innumerable dialects. It will need to convert all the fundamental subject in these languages and then requirement of a skilled teacher to implement this. This also widens the gap between the societies as a large number of students which uncomfortable in computing in English. And this is create also problem for the teachers as NEP states that minimum qualification is for teach 4-year degree integrated B.Ed degree. Only candidate with the 4-year degree and CTET certificate will apply for the government job. At last but not least, I want to say that NEP will increase the poverty in India. The main reason behind this is reduction of public expenditure on projects and reduction of subsidy on food and agriculture. It is important to ensure that every student in India access the quality education and NEP fails to do so. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
The national line, the proper education of our my dear friends. Today, on the behalf of Swarnim House, NEP 2020 aims to develop both conjugative capacities as well as the social ethics of the economical capacities of the students. Let us discuss the advantages and disadvantages of new education policy 2020. Increasing expenditure of education. The increasing spends on the education of early 3% to 6%. Now I will bring too much needs fundamental focus and priorities the education sectors. Reducing exam stress. Changing school stress will be reduce the stress of board exam and will challenge students towards practicing skills and various learning. Flexibility to choose the subject. Students have burden option to learn now. They have the option of choosing any subject combination from arts, commerce and science and exploring the multi-discipline of education. Preferring media of instruction till class 5th. The introduction of English after medium of instruction class 5th. Standard class 5th in government school will wide the gap with the English since being. Changing the digital division. The digital division presence in India is even more extreme in reviving area whenever not can afford smartphones. The problems future compounded by the poor infrastructure of government running school will create impactations issues of digital education. Thank you.
She from 11th Orange. Good morning, respected Vice Principal Sir and teachers and my dear friends. Today, on behalf of Swarnim House, I am going to present a debate. I am in opposite of new education policy. New education policy or NEP 2020 is policy launched by Indian government. Indian government has launched this policy to change the whole education system or academic system of India. Is new education policy will benefits your country, but it also some drawbacks of them. So today I am going to take about drawbacks of new education policy of 2020. First of all, I am going to talk about changes at school level students of PVT. School will be taught English at too much earlier ages than students of government schools. The academic symbols will be taught in regional languages in government schools. This is one of the major drawback of new education system because it will increase the number of uncomfortable students in communicating in English and through undedicating the difference between the different sections of society. Teaching in local language is a good idea, but declaring it has also the medium of teaching does seems to be good. For example, if a student in from Madhya Pradesh and move to Punjab and join a school there, then teaching will be in regional language. This will be impact the student clearly. Now, I am going to talk about changes of university levels or a college levels. A student who want to do graduation have to study from 4 years, while one can easily complete has their diploma in 2 years. This is encourage people to leave their course mind way. Making the university multidisciplinary is in a good idea, but you cannot force them to become excellent in our courses. For example, IIT is in engineering and new college is arts. Another drawbacks of the NEP, according to me, implementation. Implementation of NEP is not easy. It will the some time to implement this NEP is in India. At last, I want to say that if Indian government will pay a ration to the drawbacks of NEP, then this policy can bring your nation to high level. But if the Indian government will not pay any ration to drawbacks of this NEP, then this education policy can also beginning your India to the lower level. Thank you.